The night her husband left, she did not cry. She sat on the cold ground outside their house. She pressed her back against the cracked mud wall. And she breathed. Just breathed. Because crying would wake the children. And the children could not know. Not yet. Not tonight. Her name was Mira. She was 34 years old. She had 3 children asleep inside. She had a tin box with no money in it. And she had a village that was already watching. Waiting to see what she would do. They were wrong. This is the story of what she did instead. The morning after is always the hardest. When the shock fades. And reality arrives. Mira looked at what she had. A mud house with 1 cracked wall. A small clay stove. A tin of rice that would last 3 days. 3 children who needed to be fed every day. Priya had her mother's eyes. Quiet. Careful. Noticing everything. She was 9 years old. And she already understood more than a child should. By that morning, the village had already heard. In small places, silence spreads fast. And so does shame. They did not say anything to her face. They did not have to. It was in the gaps. The small distances people put between themselves and her. She had been a good wife. A good neighbor. A good daughter-in-law. None of that seemed to matter now. In this village, a woman alone was a problem to be observed. Not helped. Just watched. What she did not know yet. That watching would one day become something different. The dal was thin. More water than lentil. But it was hot. And it was what she had. She served the children first. Full portions for them. Nothing for herself. She had been doing this for 10 days. She had told no one. Amma. You did not take any. Mira smiled. The way only mothers learn to smile. When everything is not okay. And the children must not know. I ate earlier. Finish yours. Priya looked at her. She did not believe her. But she put the food back. And ate. Slowly. Quietly. Watching her mother the whole time. The tin was where she kept the house money. It had been empty for 2 weeks. She counted the problems in her head. Rent in 4 days. Oil for the children's study lamps. Arjun's sandal had split at the sole last week. One problem after another. All of them real. All of them waiting. Amma. Will we eat tomorrow? She looked at her son for a long moment. This small boy. 6 years old. Asking a question no child should ever have to ask. She pulled him close. Put her face into his hair. Breathed him in. Yes. We will eat tomorrow. I promise. She held him until his breathing slowed again. Until he was back in his dream. Then she sat in the dark. And she made herself a promise too. She did not yet know how she would keep it. But she made it anyway. She had not slept. But her mind had not been still. She had no money. She had no contacts in any town. She had left school at class 8. She had never worked outside this village. What she had was that pile of fabric. Old pieces. Torn saris. Leftover cloth from years of small repairs. Scraps that were too small to be anything. She had never thrown them away. She did not know why. Until now. Her mother had taught her to sew. Long ago. Before the marriage. Before all of this. She could make small bags. Simple cloth pouches. The kind village women used to carry things to market. The kind that wore out and needed replacing. It was such a small idea. Almost embarrassingly small. But it was hers. And it was real. Most people wait for a big idea. Mira started with the only one she had. She worked through the whole morning. She made mistakes. Cut too short. Restitched twice. The thread was old and kept breaking at the needle. But by afternoon, 2 bags. They were not beautiful things. They were not elegant. But the seams held. The shape was clean. They were solid. She had made something. With her own hands. From scraps that had been sitting in a corner for years. Tomorrow she would take them to the market. And try. She went to the first vendor. A broad woman selling onions. "Didi, I made these cloth bags. Good for carrying things to market. 50 rupees each." The woman looked at the bags. Turned one over. Pressed it once. Handed it back. "I have bags at home already." Mira nodded. Moved to the next stall. And the next. And the next. 7 stalls. 7 no's. Then a man at the rice stall said something. Loud enough for others nearby to hear. "Who sent the widow to sell old rags?" A couple of people glanced over. 1 or 2 smiled. Mira did not turn around. She did not answer. She picked up her bags and kept walking. That day, she almost stopped trying. She almost turned around and went home. She was almost out of market. Her feet ached. The afternoon heat pressed down. The young woman at the stall glanced at her. Then at the bags. "How much?" 50 rupees. The woman picked one up. She opened it. Closed it. Pressed the stitching with her thumb. Just as Mira had done the night before. "I will give you 40. 40 rupees. Barely enough for a cup of rice and dal. Not enough to fix anything. Not enough to matter. And yet, 40 is fine." She stood very still for a moment. Just looking at her own closed hand. 40 rupees. Earned. By her. For something she made. With her hands. From scraps. From nothing. This was not a lot of money. This was not going to solve anything. But standing there in that market. Holding those 2 notes. Something changed inside her. Quietly. Permanently. This was where it started. Not with a plan. Not with money or connections or luck. With 40 rupees. And the understanding that she could earn them. She did not rush home. She needed to think. 40 rupees. She could spend all of it on food. That would feed them for 2 days. Maybe 3 if she was careful. Or she could spend some. And keep some. To buy more thread. To make more bags. To earn more than 40 next time. 20 rupees for rice and oil. 10 rupees to repay a small debt. 10 rupees for thread. That last 10 rupees was the most important. Because it meant tomorrow was not the end. It meant tomorrow was the next step. She had never thought this way before. About keeping a little back. About using money to make more money. It was such a simple idea. But it would be the one that changed everything. She did not know it yet. But that 10 rupees would become 40 women's wages. The next morning she started before the sun came up. She made 3 bags. Better than the day before. The cuts were cleaner. The stitching more even. She had learned from the first 2. Already. After the older children left for school. She made 2 more. And tried something new. A small drawstring at the top. Simple. Useful. Nicer than before. She went to market twice that week. She sold 4 bags. 160 rupees. The next week, 6 bags. 240. The numbers were small. But they were going in one direction. Up. The shame did not leave. It was always there. Not loud. Not always in her face. But always present. In the small distances people kept. In the conversations that stopped when she came near. In the way some shopkeepers counted her money twice. As if she might have found it rather than earned it. She had done nothing wrong. She knew that. But knowing something and not feeling it. Those are two different things. She kept walking. She kept working. She had no other answer for them. One evening Priya came and sat beside her. They worked together quietly for a while. Then Priya spoke. Amma. Radha's mother says our house has bad luck now. Meera put her sewing down. She looked at her daughter. What do you think? Priya considered this very seriously for a moment. I think Radha's mother talks too much. Meera laughed. A real one. Short and surprised. The first real laugh in a long time. Then came a week that nearly ended everything. The rain came without warning. It stayed for 5 days. 4 of the bags she had been drying got soaked. Ruined. Unsellable. At the same time, Arjun fell ill. Fever. 3 days. The medicine cost more than she had saved that week. She borrowed from Shantabai, the elderly woman 2 houses down, who gave without being asked twice. But the debt sat heavy. On top of everything else. The night Arjun's fever finally broke. She sat outside in the silence after the rain. The ground was wet. The air was cool. And for the first time, she let herself think the thought she had been pushing away. Maybe this was all. Maybe this was the ceiling. Maybe she should stop. She sat with that thought for a long time. She did not push it away. She looked at it honestly. And then she thought of Arjun's face when the fever broke. Of Priya folding bags beside her without being asked. Of little Ronnie sitting on the floor and humming to herself. She stood up. Went inside. And made 3 bags the next morning. She almost stopped here. Most people would have. She did not. She stood at her usual place for a long time. 2 bags sold in the first hour. Then nothing. She watched women walk by. She held up a bag when one glanced her way. Most did not stop. She thought about the debt to Shantabai. About the school books Priya needed for next term. About the roof that still leaked in one corner. The feeling came quietly. Not loudly. A slow draining. The kind that does not announce itself. Just arrives. She sat down on a low stone wall. Just for a moment. She told herself just a moment. She did not stop. She did not sit down or make a conversation of it. She just slowed for 2 steps. Glanced at the bags. Glanced at Meera. And said something quiet. Almost to herself. Those are strong stitches. The market by the school gate has better customers on Thursday mornings. Women pass through before school hours. They are always buying. And she walked on. Meera watched her go. She had never seen that woman before. She did not know her name. She did not know which village she was from. She never saw her again. The market by the school gate. Thursday mornings. Before school hours. Mothers passing through. Always in a hurry. Always carrying something. Always needing a bag. It was such an ordinary thing to say. Just information. The kind anyone might pass along without thinking. But she had said it to the right person. At the right moment. When there was nothing else to hold on to. That line stayed with Mira for years. Long after she could not remember the woman's face clearly. Long after the market by the school had changed and grown. She thought about it often. How a stranger's passing sentence, said without thinking, can hold a person together on the day they were about to let go. Small moments change lives. Not always the big ones. Sometimes just 30 seconds on a road. She had spent the night before making 8 bags. She had slept very little. But she was here. Before the first mother arrived. The path was quiet at first. A dog. A sweeper. A man on a bicycle. Then slowly, women. With children at their sides. With bags already in their hands. Moving fast. The universal hurry of school mornings. Is the stitching strong? Try it yourself. Pull it. The woman pulled at the seam. It held. She pulled again. Still held. I will take 2. In the next 2 hours she sold 8 bags. 400 rupees. More in one morning than in any full week before. She rolled up her cloth. Counted the money once. And walked directly to the cloth shop. Not home. The cloth shop. To buy more material. To start again. She did not spend on anything extra. 150 for rice, oil, and daily needs. 50 rupees to Shanta buy. 200 for better material. Better cloth. Still cheap. But better quality. A proper pair of scissors. 2 full spools of thread. That evening she cut with the new scissors. The difference was immediate. Clean edges. Less wasted fabric. The bags came out neater. She worked late. And the next night. And the next. That morning, Mira sold only 2 bags. The other woman sold more. She walked home with less than expected. And she sat with it. Quietly. Honestly. Amma. What happened? Priya had noticed. She always noticed. Someone is selling the same thing. For less money. So what will you do? Mira looked at her daughter. A 9-year-old asking like a business partner. I will make something she cannot. She stayed up that night. Not rebuilding the bag completely. Just improving it. A small front pocket. A slightly thicker base so it stood upright when set down. A neater folded hem at the top. Small changes. But real ones. The kind that make a person pause and look twice. She did not try to beat the other woman. She just tried to become better. A woman stopped. She pointed at the pocket. What is that for? Coins. Or a folded note. Or your child's name paper. Whatever you need to reach fast. The woman turned it over. Pressed the base. Set it down on the cloth and saw how it stood. I will take 2. Her friend beside her bought 1. By 9 in the morning, all 12 bags were sold. She did not celebrate. She bought more material. Went home. Started cutting. By the 3rd month, women were asking for her by name. Not by the bags. By her. One woman wanted 10 bags. For a family function. As small gifts. 10 bags. One order. She had never had an order before. She delivered every bag on time. Every one. Word travels the way it does in small places. Through women at the well. Through mothers at the school gate. Through vendors who had watched her from the first day. 6 months after the first Thursday market, Kamla had lost her regular field work. Her husband had been sick for 3 months. She needed something. She had watched Mira. And she had come to ask. "I heard you make bags. I can sew a little. Will you teach me?" Mira looked at her. She thought for a moment. Then she stepped aside from the door. "Come in." 3 weeks later, Kamla's sister came. Then a woman from the lane behind the temple. Then a young mother from the next village. Mira had not planned any of this. It simply arrived. The way most real things do. She did not call it a business. Not yet. She called it an arrangement. She bought the cloth. She decided the designs. The women made the bags. She handled the selling and the orders. And she divided the money. She paid fairly. More than fairly. She remembered what it felt like to have nothing. She did not want any woman in that room to feel it on her account. Because of that, they trusted her. Because of that, they stayed. Because of that, the work was good. What she built was not just a business. It was a room where women were safe to earn. "I heard you take women who need work. My husband left us last year. I have 2 children. Can I come?" Mira looked at her for a moment. She looked at the baby on her hip. She looked at the careful way the young woman held herself. Like someone who had already asked a lot of doors and had most of them stay shut. "Can you sew?" "A little. I will learn the rest." "Then come in." She was the 8th woman. Within a year there were 18. They worked quietly together. Then Priya asked without looking up. "Amma, do you remember that morning? When I gave you food from my plate?" "I remember. Are you still hungry sometimes?" Mira paused in her folding. She thought about the past year. The market. The orders. The women. The notebooks. The roof that was repaired last month. The new sandals on Arjun's feet. The school books bought without borrowing. No. Not anymore. Mira watched her daughter. This girl who had given food from her own plate. Who had looked at her mother over the rim of a bowl and known. She had not known then what it would look like on the other side. She knew now. It looked like this. An ordinary evening. Folding bags together. Enough for everyone. 2 years after that first Thursday market. 43 women came to work under Mira's arrangement. From 4 different villages. Some walked 30 minutes each way. Some brought their youngest children and kept them close. Some had husbands who had left. Some had husbands who were sick. Some were widows. Some were daughters who had been told there was no future for them here. The bags had grown into more. Embroidered cloth covers. Small children's school bags. Drawstring pouches for town shops. A steady order from a shopkeeper in the district town. Every 2 weeks. Without fail. 43 women meant 43 wages. 43 wages meant 43 homes changed. Not transformed. Not made perfect. Just changed. In the quiet, daily ways that matter most. A child eating full portions. A woman buying her own medicine. A debt cleared that had sat for 2 years. A daughter kept in school because now there was just enough. These were not big stories. They did not make newspapers. They were the kind of change that happens in kitchens. In doorways. In the faces of children going to sleep without hunger. You do not always see the change from outside. But it is happening. Inside 43 homes. The village had changed its mind. Not out of guilt. Not because someone told them to. Because something visible had happened. Something they could not pretend not to see. A woman had built something real. Without a husband. Without money. Without anyone helping her first. The older woman at the well called out to her one morning. Mira. My daughter needs work. Is there space? Mira stopped. She looked at the woman. A long steady look. Not unkind. Not cold. Just honest. Tell her Monday morning. Early. She would never say it had been easy. She would never soften what it had cost. The hunger was real. The shame was real. The nights she had almost let go. Those were real. But so was this morning. So was the sound of women arriving behind the house. So was Priya making tea before school. So was Ronnie running through the courtyard without worry on her face. Everything she had built. Every rupee, every bag, every woman with a wage. Came from one decision. Not a dramatic one. Not a brave one. Just a quiet one. The decision to try one more day. On the morning after the night she had nothing. She did not wait for everything to be ready. She did not wait for someone to save her. She started with what she had. And she refused to stop. That is how ordinary people build extraordinary lives.
If this story meant something to you, consider subscribing to the channel. Share your thoughts below. We're building a space of strength, growth, and wisdom together. And no matter where you are right now, keep moving forward.